welcome to Perspective Channel. Different angles on the same situation. What makes and defines a good leader? We will try to understand that question through three different types of answer: fictional, exaggerated, and that do not represent the absolute truth today. Okay, so here we are now speaking with the Latin head leader of a top-tier management consultancy firm. So let's get started. How would you define a good leader? Okay, so let's get to the first type of answer or response, the corporate standard response. First of all, it's a pleasure to be here. I hold a degree in production engineering and an MBA from the Wharton School at the University of Pennsylvania. I also have several postgrads degrees in leadership, people management, and technology, among several others. I am a Wharton alumni representative in the country and participate in various communities on behalf of the firm where I work. It has been 15 years since I graduated, where I spent 12 of those years in consulting and 3 years in what we call industry, specifically technology and telecom, as VP of Products, Marketing, and Sales. Before becoming head of Latam here, I led projects in other sectors such as consumer goods, education, energy, and finance. I will try to be succinct on your question, as we could discuss leadership for years, given the sheer volume of books, courses, and blogs on the subject. Well, let's dive in. First and foremost, a good leader is someone focused on developing people, not just delivering results. After all, leadership presupposes people. Without them, nothing gets done. You lead by example, that is, your behavior, your actions, and you also lead through your interactions with everyone, subordinates, superiors, peers, and even strangers. Even if you are, for instance, a solo app developer, you will eventually interact with people directly or indirectly, partners, clients, suppliers, whether by speaking or reading their messages. In today's contemporary world, rigid hierarchy is a thing of the past. If people don't buy into what you're saying and your vision, they might do what they're told, but the results will be mediocre. A good leader also knows how to communicate at all levels: bosses, peers, subordinates, partners, society, etc. They know what must be prioritized and who are the best people to take on those responsibilities. In short, leading is about valuing people, communicating efficiently, prioritizing, and delegating roles and responsibilities appropriately, while of course remaining ethical, honest, transparent by delivering results. Okay, what will be the second type of response for your questions regarding leadership? The sincere response. Look, to be perfectly honest, there are leaders and then there are leaders. There are those who measure success by their career standing, their title, for example. There are those who measure it by how much money they've made, and then there are those who measure success by how many people they have developed and transformed over the years. Today, in most cases, we value the famous leader who has had financial success. I'm not going to lie to you about that. The one who appears on websites, magazines, podcasts, and blogs, rather than the leaders that has actually shaped many people over the years. Take, for instance, an unknown surfer running an NGO in the northeast of our country who has developed and mentored over 100 underprivileged children through surfing over the past 10 years. On the other hand, you have the guy who is constantly giving interviews and traveling by armored car and private jet. Which one do most of us consider a good leader today? The vast majority of us confuse leadership with financial success, as if leading were measured solely by the results we deliver and the rewards we receive. Another example from the business world. There is the leader I call the passive cowardly in this contest. He sends his employees to meetings in his place, claiming he's developing them, but deep down, he just doesn't want to participate in meetings where he has to expose himself or make unpopular decisions. Is this a good leader? Or the leader, for example, who hides behind corporate policies, saying he had to let you go because of, let's say, remote work policy, when in reality, he simply didn't have the guts and the courage to fight for you. And let's be honest, for better or worse, in the contemporary world, leadership, productivity, and delivery of results are closely linked and sometimes confused. The world will only consider you a good leader if you deliver results, not just develop people. Okay, and finally, the ideal world response. In an ideal world, a good leader is someone who knows they will face consequences for doing the right thing when everyone else is doing the wrong thing, yet he do it anyway. They are transparent and sincere, always tailoring the format of their communication to the recipient without ever compromising the integrity of the content. In an ideal world, a good leader possesses empathy. Putting on oneself in another one's shoes is a constant exercise, one that takes time because no two people are alike. This is someone, this good leader in this ideal world, who is an active, lifelong learner, observing and absorbing 100% of the time, not just from theory, but from practice. And again, in an ideal world, a leader is the person who makes the most of the feedback they receive, both from others and also from themselves. They recognize the lessons learned throughout their lives, whether from theory and reading, but primarily from other people. You only have your experiences, so stay alert to learn from them, because there are other people and human beings in the world. We learn and we retain either through love or through pain. Good leaders inspire naturally without forcing this type of situation, because they are genuinely concerned with everything around them, their team, the context there are, the ecosystem, and society at large. Of course, results are expected, but the effects and impacts of being a good leader and being concerned with other people and society last forever. These are just some of the few characteristics that makes a good leader. Think about that. Okay, today we saw three types of different responses for the same question. Remember, there are no absolute truths, and people may have different points of view from yours. Always consider that they may exist alternative takes on the same matter. This will hopefully help you navigate more open-mindedly through life. Knowledge always makes us grow. We never should stop learning. Think about it.